British mountain climber Kenton Cool is making his 10th attempt to reach the summit of Mount Everest, despite the treacherous conditions this year due to unusually warm weather triggering avalanches and rockfalls. There's an added incentive for his climb.
Packed among his equipment is a 1924 Olympic gold medal. It was handed to a member of the pioneering 1922 British expedition, which made the first attempt to climb the world's highest peak, only to fall short by just over 600 metres. They vowed to take one of the gold medals to the very top of the world, but until now that promise had been forgotten. I spoke to Kenton Cool earlier from Everest's base camp to find out about his progress on this Olympic pledge climb.
This year is absolutely fantastic. We have an Olympic gold medal with us from 1924 that was awarded to the 22 British Everest expedition. And the amazing thing about that Everest expedition is that Finch, who was an Australian, was on that trip as well, and he was awarded one of those gold medals, which is really exciting for everybody down in Australia. But yeah, I mean, it's been a topsy-turvy season so far on Everest, but with Russell Bryce pulling out, with the British walking with the wounded team, conditions haven't been the best. But we're hoping now, reports coming back from the mountain are that the snow's settled, that the conditions are looking better. So what we're doing now, we're just waiting for the weather. It's really, really windy high up. So we're just waiting for that jet stream to pass, and then Keith and myself, the little team that we have, we're going to make our way back up the hill. And of course, the whole idea of the medal was that Lieutenant Colonel Strutt, the second in command of that 22 Everest expedition, when he received the medals, he pledged to Baron Pierre de Coubertin, the founding father of the modern Olympics, that one of these medals will be taken to the very top of the world. For lots of reasons, that's never been done. So 2012, the Olympics comes to Great Britain. The UK is full of clamour for sport this year, and it seemed like a very, it just seemed like the right time to try and take one of these medals to the top. So that's exactly what we're going to try and do.
It must have a lot of significance for you, given your love of mountain climbing, to be carrying this gold medal to the summit of Mount Everest. But I imagine it also has a great deal of significance for the family members of that 1922 mountain climbing team, some of whom I understand you've met.
No, absolutely. I mean, the medal that we have here is a medal that was awarded to Arthur Wakefield. He was one of the climbers that stepped in to help on the medical issues in 1922. And I travelled across to Canada to go and pick that medal up. And his grandson, Charles Wakefield, just a charming man. So kind of him to lend us the medal. But then since we went public with the BBC in the UK, lots of the family members of the other team members have been coming out of the woodwork and wishing us all the best and the support. And I think certainly in the UK there's a bit of a groundswell that what we're trying to do is honour those 22 Everest expedition members, because they did do an amazing feat, one of the most outstanding feats that's ever been done on Everest. And we've also had correspondence with Finch's descendants, Finch being the Australian member of that 22 trip, and they're fully behind the whole thing. They think the whole expedition is absolutely wonderful. So it's so good to get this support from people back home, well, not just from back home, but from all around the world. I mean, these people now live far and wide across the globe, and they're all coming together through Facebook, through Samson's own media hub, where we're putting all the films and things like that up, and it's overwhelming, the support that we've had. So I feel very, very honoured to be part of that. Everest is very special to me. This is my 9th consecutive year, with my 10th summit, and just to be even just a tiny part of Everest history is just amazing. I feel very proud and privileged to be in this situation.
It's extraordinary that you're able to share your experiences of Mount Everest with us at the moment, and people charting your progress all around the world. But how different it must have been 90 years ago for those mountain climbers in 1922.
I mean, the whole thing, I mean, technology has moved on so far. I mean, I remember being in the Everest region back in 1995, the first time I visited this region. And there was no telephones, I had no sat phone, and what I used to do, I just used to disappear into the mountains and then send the occasional letter back to the family, or what I did, I used to write everything down on a piece of A4 piece of paper and fax it from Kathmandu to my father's office. Now, and that was just in 95, so that was, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. Whereas if we go back to 1922, I mean, those guys were away for 8 or 9 months at any one time. now in 2012, I mean, I've been away for almost 2 months now, and I desperately miss my wife and my baby daughter. But we can upload things to Facebook, to Twitter. We've got these amazing telephones which we can link in nowadays. In 1922, it was entirely different. Those guys were really out on a limb. They would get the occasional letter from home. They would send letters back. It really was very, very difficult to communicate with the outside world. I was reading one of the books recently, and it took 9 days to get information from base camp to the nearest town where they could send a telegram back to the UK. So I think we're very lucky these days to be able to be in contact with loved ones and relatives and people around the world so easily. We can upload a video that we shoot at base camp, and it can be seen by millions of people almost instantly. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. This sort of social network highway, or whatever you want to call it, is amazing for keeping people pretty much in the loop. It's fantastic. Very, very different to 95 and light years away from 1922-24.